Okay, today is August 23rd, 2023, and this is my trade recap. Just closing out the day a little early because I am hitting my max loss. There's going to be a lot to learn from today, so I'm just going to go over all my trades and do a more in-depth, detailed analysis after the market close. But I started off the morning with a invalid trigger short. So this was it's technically valid for a scalp, but it's not a good trade at all. This was a obvious skip, and then once it showed continued weakness, you could take the potential 1 minute continuation short, but the risk reward did not make sense here at all. So in that case, you can take it for a scalp, or you can just skip it due to the reasons of being in pre-market and lack of risk reward. But I ended up taking it, looking to scalp into levels. Those levels didn't even touch because of the lack of risk reward. So I noticed that and the main reason I took it in real time was because this was heading into key resistance levels on the hour chart. So I was expecting this level to potentially top out and be the top potentially, and I didn't want to miss out on the move. But that's the wrong mindset. If it were to flush lower, you can short the bounces into confirmations, and there's always going to be opportunity, and you have to understand that. But I ended up taking it right here, and I noticed the price action here where it did dip into my short signal, about $1 in my favor, I guess. But as soon as it came back and held that breakdown level and started holding, I covered out my entire position into a small, not even 1 hour, half-hour trade, which so great job on risk management here. However, this trade could have been avoided altogether. Next trade was a fat finger mistake. Well, it's supposed to. It wasn't even supposed to be a short. It was supposed to be a short at the break of this 409, but that level never broke. So that means I shouldn't have been in the trade anyways, but I just hit the bid as that level was breaking. That level never broke. So this is like the second time I made this mistake, or third time I made this mistake in the past 2 weeks. So I really need to start putting stop order limits to get my entries. I don't care if it's going to give me terrible fills, but that's what I need to do to prevent these mistakes from happening again. So I took a starter position short right there at that level, looking to add into any confirmation, but that level never broke, so there was no confirmation in the first place. And then I shorted into key resistance level right here. Is a very tight risk add, and I was looking to move my entire stop to higher day now, and into the first flush I covered just enough of my position to keep this trade a winner no matter what. And then into the bounce, I shorted again at this candle as it's struggling to continue higher, and then I covered that into the wash again. Both times the wash into the trend line I'm covering aggressively into. And then this one, this one I didn't cover too aggressively. I could have covered better. I think that's my main mistake here. Into that trend line, I could have covered more aggressively here, and then into some confirmation, the break of that trend line, you could always add those covered shares right back. But by doing that, I turned a 2-hour winning trade into a loser here, because I locked in another half of my remaining positions. I had 5 contracts left. I took two out into this first area to take out my position, and then the next valid log on the 1 minute, followed by PMI news. It immediately shot straight up with volume, and it stopped me out through higher day here. And with a little bit of slippage, I got filled at 4418. So I knew in my head I was already down about 1 hour on the trade. I turned a decently winning trade into a loser by executing very poorly. This should have been more aggressively covered here, and then I should have been aware of the news coming out at 9:45, and that's even more of a reason to take more aggressive covers here, and take more aggressive covers here, take the full covers here, and then on the news candle, once the news settles and then it shows you confirmation, you can always re-add those shares right back. But I just felt greed today. I just wanted to, I don't know, I just was thinking a lot about the money, and I guess I just wanted to make money today. And on that, I knew that it was a risk-free trade no matter what, and I have 5 contracts risking high a day. And if it were to break this trend line on the news, it could meet way deeper targets down here. So I just wanted to give this trade a chance to work out. It did not work out, gave me slippage, and took me out for a loss on a 2 hour winning trade. So I was already very tilted here, and that's when I should have just called it a day and just walked away. That was my max threshold for my frustration and tilt, followed with early morning invalid triggers, um, followed by turning a winning trade into a loss by executing poorly. That's already the highest level of tilt you can get to. You understood that. I was aware of that in real time, but I decided to stay in front of my screens. Once again, that's showing lack of discipline. If you can't walk away on your max threshold, then that's lack of discipline. Or maybe your threshold is much lower than that, and I need to go back to my mental map and relog these things because maybe my higher brain functions are already shutting down prior to that hitting those levels because of my accumulated emotions right now. So that's something I'm gonna have to track after market closes, but I just stayed in front of the screens and I just took an invalid short right here. Once it covered me out into this candle, nasty candle, I realized I took slippage and I just immediately re-added into my position, not wanting to miss the top, not wanting to. I knew the risk reward was going to be heavily in my favor, so I just re-added immediately as soon as it stopped me out and wicked below my stop level, and then added into tight risk level, and then covered into a potential area where it might shoot up higher. That area never ended up shooting up higher, so that my next trade ended up being right after I covered out of that position. It was a 1 minute pullback short, and this was on confirmation. This was a valid trigger. However, the risk reward once again does not make sense on this one. This one came down to about a 1 to 1.5 R. I did not lock it. In a case where you're going to take a trade where the risk reward is not in your favor, you have to scalp the trade. You have to. So in this case, it went down $3 in my favor, about 1.5 R on the trade, and I didn't lock in any profits into that first wash. So I knew that, I guess in my mind at the time, I knew that this was my last bullet for the day. This is my fourth trade, and this is potentially an area where it could be seeing a top. And if it is the top, I'm looking for the break of that trend line to really take some aggressive covers to be back green on the day. But that already is you thinking about the money, and when you're thinking about the money, execution becomes impossible. As this one reclaimed above my entry level, and I took 0 cover orders, I took 0 profits on this trade. And when I came back above my entry, I took out my stop at 4419.75. So 4420 was my stop. I took it out, I moved it up to high a day. And I was like, all right, well, if it triggers me at high a day, then it's gonna then that makes more sense. This is my last bullet. I can't re-add into the trade if it just triggers me out right here and rejects off higher day. Higher day makes sense to respect. And once it approached my higher day, I just completely took out my higher day trade, my higher day stop as well. Just completely in uh, FOMO here, not wanting to miss the move if it does end up stopping me out and continuing lower, because I know I'm on my last bullet. I'm on my last trade and I cannot re-enter. So it broke high a day, immediately went up another 2 points, and that's where my broker stopped me out for a max loss on the day. So if there's anything I did good today, it's respecting my max loss, and understanding the temptation to re-enter into the trade or to take more trades for the day is very, very high. And that's why I'm doing my whole entire recap on this instead of Thinkorswim, because if I'm looking at my Thinkorswim right now, there's a small chance that I can get back into my rhythmic and just disable my max loss and start trading again. And that's a very, very, very bad habit. That's not even acceptable. Even if it's an A++ setup and you make back all your money and more, that's just ingraining bad habits and allowing bad habits to creep back into your trading. Great job understanding that, and just closing the screens for the day, and just gonna head to the library right now and not even, or Starbucks actually, and study with a friend. Just not even allow myself to look at the charts. Um, but yeah, going into tomorrow, I think, or the rest of this month, I think my main priority needs to be on avoiding the first 10 minutes of price action. I think if I just followed that one rule, then I could have prevented all the trades today. Um, and Today's the first day I had to actually respect my max loss, so I can't say max loss is something I have fully mastered, but max loss is definitely in my C game still. But I think taking 4 trades max, I think that's something I did very well this month, and that's something I could potentially move to my B game. And my new C game mistake that I need to fix is avoiding the first 10 minutes of price action. I think that will make the biggest impact on my trading right now going forward. So tomorrow, my main 1% goal is follow everything else, obviously, but my main focus is going to be on just avoiding the first 10 minutes of price action, and that includes pre market. All right, that's it.